Good day everyone. I'm going to try to start doing this so that I can reach you better because it's hard, it's tricky for me to get PSFs organized. It seems like everything else is taking up the time every time. I want to talk to you about assessments today because I have found that there is things that can work better. So I'm going to advise you on assessments today. Thank you. Let's look at the program of assessment first. Okay. I went and I looked at the policy document and I saw in the policy document, when we started with CAPS, the policy document said nothing about when and how much and what. The policy document had this in, some of it. But this came after. And I realized that this has got everything to do with SA SAMs. And people interpret it as they're supposed to make the test out of this amount. So if other grades, like grade 2 and 1, would have 2 out of 2 or 3, and then people only set assessments according to these numbers. Please do not do that. It doesn't benefit the children if your assessment task is only out of 3 marks or out of 5 marks. The more marks, the better for everyone. Then this is very tricky for every teacher, because if you look at week 4, then sometimes you haven't finished all of those things yet, or the children haven't had enough practice. So I would advise you to rather get through your topics first, work on your topics first, and then when you get to let's say week 7, 8, then you try to start doing your assessments rather than pushing your assessments in throughout the term. As you can see, here is task 1, which is all number operations. Okay. And number operations is quite lengthy. It goes on to the next page, okay, and then it's your patterns, and then if I can get the page over, then it's your space and shape, then your measurement, and then your data. I find that data assessments are too little. We need to have a look. I do not want them out of 5. We need to have our data and our measurement at least out of 15, even more. You see your space and shape? 5. This is not what is ideal for the children and for us. Then I just want to thank Kobie Kleinhans for the use of her paper. I'm going to use her paper as an example. But I just want to tell you that Kobie Kleinhans sets the paper up like this. So she divides it in, this is 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and she has the sections like that. I'm very happy with most of her paper. I would just be clever about it, because you see these ones I've colored in green. They are also in the program of assessments for patterns and algebra functions. So that one's is exactly like that. So I would rather leave it out in the program of assessment, in the number operation part of the assessment, and rather just test them here. Otherwise you have tested it double. And if the child doesn't do well in that section, then yeah, that could be a problem. So I would not do this twice. All right. Then, if we look at Kobe's, you see the green ones? This is the ones that I would rather leave out. Okay? If you look at number operations and relationships, then this is the memo. Okay? So what I have done is you see the children is supposed to fill in a lot of answers, ne? You see that, ne? So what I've done is she actually did it like that. She highlighted the ones that she wants marks for. So she highlighted one in every line. I highlighted another one. So I would rather say, let's make it 16 marks. You see there at the bottom, she made it 8. I would say, let's make it 16 marks so that the children can get more opportunities to get it right. Okay? Then that's the first part. So this is number operations and relationships. Then we're still busy with number operations. This is your mental maths. Okay? I would rather give marks to every answer being filled in. So the red answers is the answers they have to fill in. And then you will see it's 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. I do not want us to use a rubric. I know it says a rubric, but rather give them the marks than using a rubric like this. Because you can see here, level 4 would be recall all number combinations up to... Then where does the children fall? So rather just give them the marks. And then it adds up to 25 marks, you can see there. Maybe I should just show you this also. When you do your number patterns and operations, this is page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, page 9. She writes her things out very explicitly, and she actually do too many activities. But do you see what's my total? 132. So your child that are below average, that are struggling, can at least have 10 or 20 out of 132 when we give them for everything. So if the child gets something right, at least they get something. So this is still number operations, number names, and number operations. She gave 1 mark for each one, but she has a lot. Can you see? She has a lot. So this one is write the numbers. You call out the numbers, and the children must write the numbers in the blocks. Okay? Too many. I would say do 3. Okay? Too many. There's too many for me. It will take you too long to do this kind of assessment. The other thing that she does is she gave 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark for every complete number name. I would rather say do 3 number names, but give them 1 mark for 100, 20, and 4. So that would be 3 marks. Because then if the child at least written 1 correctly, the child can get 1 mark. All right. This is still number operations. Describe and compare numbers. This is now smaller than, greater than, and she's done it. And she's given marks for it. All right. Then descending order and ascending order. And then this is grade 3, ne? So here she's used the words, and here she's used the symbols. And here the children had to put in, I like this one, the symbol to work out, to make the number sentence correctly. Then this one, add and subtract. It's an easy one. Doing tens, which is a lovely one for the grade 3 children to do. Place value, okay? And she even asked them this one, which is something the children struggle with. Place value refers to place of the digit. Number value refers to the value of the digit. Okay? Extended form, this is expanded notation. You write it out, rather give marks to certain things. Okay, and I took that one out, so it's too many for me. This one, place value, I would also just use ask to, all right? And then when they ask us, and I want to just share that with you, when they ask us about the last, so this is 100, tens, and units. We call it units, but with our last training, they said we should not use the word units, we should use the word ones, and train the children with ones from the beginning. All right. That one, but then you see that the page, I always total my page, so my page is 15. And if you look on my first page that I have done, then you would see there's the 15. See, so this is page 3, there's the 15. So I total the child's marks always at the top of the page 1. I like this question. It's a very nice question. I would rather give more marks there, but I didn't want to scribble all over this. Too many activities, I would rather just use 2. I have done it this way. There's others that's doing it differently. Yes. This is the method I've started using because I feel it works better. Then they go over to the vertical method easier, which is, according to me, the best method, because that's how you do it if you work in higher grades, rather than confusing them with lots of different methods to add and take away. The 19 times 2, I left it out. We'll get to the times and the divide later. Okay, this is her one. We are still busy with number operations. As you can see, I like this idea. I like this idea a lot. Very nice. Very nice. This is a nice tricky one for your clever children. 2 6s, that's a straightforward one. And then 1 whole is a little bit tricky for them to remember, to fill in for the whole one there. I like this. It's a very good question. We need to strengthen our children's ability to understand. Problem solving. Once again, too many. Problem solving, I would rather just put 1. But it's a nice problem solving activity. This is still number operations. Still number operations. Can you see? Okay. Then we get to patterns and functions and algebra. I like this activity. It's a nice activity. But there's lots of different ones you could use for number patterns and operations. Also number patterns and operations. It's a good activity. She gave it to them in a monkey puzzle, so they must choose the answer every time, the correct answer every time. And if you look at question 8, it says which number does not belong in this series. So she gave them a problem and she showed them that there's one that it doesn't belong there, which is a good one for your clever children to do. So that's done with number patterns and operations. Then space and shape. Okay. Color the matching object. Okay. 2 marks. You can see 2 marks, 2 marks. We don't work with halves. We rather give extra marks, but we do not work with halves. I like this activity where she gave them columns and they must choose the correct answer. Here they had to draw the 2D shape. Okay, so they draw it. Okay, which is a good thing. I like this activity. So she ended up with 13 and I added marks. Do you see that? Okay. This is symmetry. Okay. In shapes. And this is to complete the symmetry. So they just gave them half and they must finish it, which is a very good one to give children. And then I like the bird. I would give a mark for the top, mark for the body, a mark for the tail, and a mark for the leg, which would add up to 11. So then you'll see my space and shape is out of 17, 11, 28. It doesn't matter if it is not a round number like 40 or whatever, because SAMs still work it out. You can change the total on SAMs and then it works it out. Measurement. Nice questions, and they must say true or false. Do you see she incorporated all the different skills of how to ask questions rather than just doing it a boring way. So we're already getting the grade 3s to use their mind, because they're moving on to grade 4 next, and then they're going to have a lot of question papers who have all these skills in. So we need to start practicing this in grade 3 already, and mathematics is a good way of doing it. What instrument would measure your mass? There we go. Put this, and the child must actually write which one is which. So the child must know this is the biggest one. So there we go. That's one is just smaller, that one is just smaller. So this must be the grams, and this must be the biggest gram. So it's a nice, easy activity, but it needs them to think, which is what we want. Order the weight and the mass from the lightest to the heaviest. I like this activity. This one is measurement by itself. All right, measurement by itself. I made the marks more here. Nee? I made the marks more here because the children deserved more marks here. So that's when I got up to 15. She made it out of 11. Okay. My favorite. No, it's just that I have found that teachers are not being creative with data handling enough. And with space and shape, they just ask 1 or 2 questions on space and shape. Make it more interesting. They gave you the information at the top. No. Then I would not have, she's done it differently. She color in the columns and then the child must write the names there. I would leave everything open and then the child needs to color in. So I would give them marks for coloring in and marks for labeling, and marks for labeling the top correctly. Then she asked them a few questions. I would give them that mark. I would give them a mark for knowing they have to do 17. I would give them a mark for knowing it's a takeaway. I would give them a mark for knowing they must take 7 away, and for the answer. This one, all the insects together, 1 mark. Which 2 insects were observed the least? I would give them 2 marks. So mine would add up to 14. We can even do tallying also with data handling. All right, good. Now, when you look at, let me just talk about this quickly. This is the program of assessment, but it's the summary. So it's the number operations, the patterns, space and shape, measurement, data handling. Can you see what my totals are? 132, 15, 28, 15, 14. In your children's profile that you sent for moderation, you need to have this on every term. So in your profile for your children, you need to have an index. The index would say, for example, term 1 index, term 1, maybe baseline assessment, term 2, term 3, term 4. That's your index in the front of your profile. Then term 1 would be there. Then for term 1, you would need one like this. And the child's marks should be filled in here. And the child's marks, especially for the ones that's going to the province for moderation, they actually look for this. Okay? So this is your program of assessment that needs to go into every child's profile, please. All right. And you see it's got the totals, the marks, and the percentages of the children. Then this is what you do at school level. Yeah? So I ask you to make buddies that check it for the first time. Okay? So they check everything. They say, okay, it's Mrs. Labuschagne. She's doing mathematics, and the test paper is for grade 1, and it's term 1, and the activity. So here it would say number operations and relationships. And it would say patterns. It would say space and shape. It would say measurement. And it should say data handling. You do not have to do a front cover for all 5 of them. Just start each one on a new page so that we just try to not waste so much paper. It's so much paper, and I know some of the schools are struggling to get copies made because the principals are being a little bit difficult about it. All right, then this is what's supposed to be on your assessment on the top. Then the instructions, mark allocations, relevant forms. Please, for mathematics mostly, we can use a test and a memo and a checklist. The form of assessment, it's usually a written one. Ne? We cannot do oral ones. Our classes are too big. We cannot do oral assessments except if you do a little practical thing quickly, and then you can do it orally, but especially with the little ones, like the grade 1s. But we need to have either written. For mathematics, that can work well. It's written, and then for the form of assessment, and the assessment tool can either be a checklist or a memo. A rubric, it's a little bit tricky. I feel people get it more wrong than getting it right, so rather try to stay away from a rubric. Do a checklist. Okay. Then this is all of that ones that you have to answer, and then the buddy signs here and put the date. Then the DH come and check it again, and the DH also signs here. There's enough space. The DH also signs here. Then we know we have no wrong things anywhere because 2 people have checked it. Then this one, so for every set, so for number operations, you need to have one of this. For patterns, one of this. Space and shape, one of this. Measurement, one of this. Data handling, one of this. But you also need one of these for everyone. And you need to write, the person who's post-moderating must write the children's names. She's post-moderating and their marks. The class average is here twice, there and there. Okay? Then how many children has written, how many children has passed, and the pass percentage. Then you must show the levels of, so for number operations, you must show the levels of the number operations here. So that you can say, I've got so many 1s, so many 2s, so many. And if there is children that are failing, then you write their names down. You write down what the problems are that they were struggling for. And then you can write down what you need to do to rectify the problem. And then the person can sign. The more signatures that's on here, the better. And remember, they made a big issue about moderating in green. Please moderate in green. That's very important. If there's any questions, you are more than welcome to send it to me. Thank you so much. Thank you that you've given me your time. I hope everybody understands better. Thank you.